I never thought fatherhood would feel like this. I used to imagine being the kind of dad who'd always be his son's hero, the one he'd look up to, the one he'd come running to when life felt heavy. But reality has a cruel way of rewriting those dreams. It all began when my marriage fell apart. My wife, well, my ex-wife now, decided she needed something more. Or maybe she just wanted someone else. I'll never really know, because the explanation she gave me never matched the hollow ache inside my chest. One day she was mine, and the next she was his. Just like that. The divorce was messy, but I told myself over and over, stay calm for your son. He's the only one that matters now. He was just 10 at the time, old enough to notice the cracks in our home but too young to understand why love had suddenly turned into silence and slammed doors. I thought if I kept showing up, if I stayed steady, he'd see I was still his dad. Nothing, no divorce papers, no new boyfriend could change that. But then came the day that shattered me in ways I didn't know were possible. It was a Saturday. I picked him up for our usual weekend together. He had his backpack, his sneakers untied, and that little half-smile he always gave me. We went to the park, kicked around a soccer ball, and grabbed ice cream afterward. For a moment it felt normal, almost like old times. On the drive back to my place, he was unusually quiet. His head leaned against the window, and I could see his reflection staring back at me. Serious, almost heavy for a boy his age. I asked him what was wrong, but he just shrugged. Finally, when we got inside, he dropped his bag and blurted it out. "Dad, I think Mom's new man is better than you." The words pierced me deeper than any insult or betrayal I had ever faced. My own son, the boy I had held in my arms when he was barely minutes old, the boy I stayed up with through sleepless nights, telling me that another man, another stranger, was better than me. I wanted to defend myself, to remind him of every scraped knee I had bandaged, every bedtime story I had read, every time I had fought back my own tears just to stay strong for him. But when I looked into his eyes, I saw something else. He wasn't trying to hurt me. He was confused, torn between two worlds he didn't choose. So I took a deep breath, swallowed the lump in my throat, and simply said, "I understand." His eyes widened, almost as if he expected me to fight back, to argue, to prove myself. But instead, I pulled him into my arms and held him. Because in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't about me losing to another man. It was about my son being caught in a storm I didn't want him to drown in. That night, after he fell asleep on the couch, I sat there staring at him. My heart ached with the weight of what he had said. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies, and sometimes it doesn't even come from your partner. Sometimes it comes from life itself. From the cruel hand that forces a child to measure the worth of his parents. Over time, I learned more about the man my ex-wife was with. He was younger, successful, charming, the kind of person who could buy things I couldn't. He took my son on trips, bought him the newest games, and had the energy to be playful when I was exhausted from work. In my son's eyes, that probably looked like better. I can't lie, it hurt. It felt like I was being erased, like my years of sacrifice were being overshadowed by someone who had simply walked into the middle of our story. But I kept reminding myself of one truth. Being a father isn't about being the most exciting or the most fun. It's about being there consistently no matter what. So every time I heard those words replay in my mind, "Mom's new man is better than you," I held on to the quiet belief that one day, my son would understand what they really meant. That one day he'd see that love isn't measured by toys or trips, but by presence, by the small, invisible threads of care that hold you together through the hardest nights. The betrayal still lingers. Not because of my son, but because of the circumstances that put him in the position to say it. Divorce doesn't just split couples. It splits children's loyalties, their identities, their sense of safety. And in his innocence, he voiced what so many children probably feel but never dare to say. Now, years later, when I think about that moment, I realize my reply, "I understand," wasn't just for him. It was for me too. It was me accepting that I couldn't control everything, that love sometimes gets tangled in ways that break us. But it was also me choosing not to let bitterness define our relationship. I don't know if I'll ever stop hurting from those words. But I do know this. Being a father means loving even when it feels one-sided. It means giving even when you're not chosen. And it means standing firm so that one day when your child finally sees clearly, they'll know who was there all along. So when he said, "Mom's new man is better than you," and I replied, "I understand," what I really meant was, I love you too much to make you choose. I love you enough to let time reveal the truth. And that, I believe, is what being a father is all about.